Some people enter a room without scanning every face for silent approval because they no longer measure their worth through strangers' reactions. They choose clothes that feel authentic to them, even if those choices don't fit the invisible expectations around them. They speak their thoughts calmly and honestly, knowing that agreement is never guaranteed in any conversation. They stopped reshaping their personalities just to avoid discomfort in temporary social environments. They understand that public opinion changes constantly, but personal values should remain steady and grounded. They realized that chasing validation is an endless cycle that rarely leads to real confidence. Instead of seeking applause, they invested time in building self-trust and emotional stability. They carefully decide which opinions deserve attention and which ones deserve silence. When criticism appears, they pause and reflect instead of reacting defensively or emotionally. They evaluate whether feedback aligns with their identity before allowing it to influence their mindset. If advice promotes growth, they accept it with humility and maturity. If judgment serves no purpose, they let it pass without internalizing negativity. They recognize that no matter how carefully someone behaves, judgment is unavoidable. So they stopped designing their lives around imaginary expectations that constantly shift. They consistently choose authenticity over popularity, even when popularity seems easier. They accept being misunderstood by people who never tried to truly understand them. They no longer fear becoming the topic of someone else's casual conversation. Experience taught them that opinions rarely carry the power they once imagined. They understand that most individuals are preoccupied with their own insecurities and worries. That awareness alone reduces unnecessary social anxiety and overthinking. They don't over-explain personal decisions simply to gain approval from others. They say no respectfully and firmly without attaching guilt to their boundaries. They treat their emotional boundaries as something valuable and worth protecting. They refuse to sacrifice inner peace for short-term acceptance. They don't compete for attention in spaces where attention is temporary. They maintain the same personality regardless of who is observing them. Their consistency remains stable even when social environments constantly change. They measure success based on alignment with their values rather than applause. They regularly ask whether their actions reflect who they genuinely are. Their decisions are guided by principles instead of trending opinions. They accept the simple reality that not everyone will like them, and they find comfort in that truth instead of resisting it. They stopped striving to become universally accepted by every personality type. They prioritize being real over being widely approved. They understand that disagreement does not automatically mean hostility. They know criticism does not always signal personal failure. They stopped equating rejection with a loss of personal worth. Their self-image is shaped by reflection rather than external comparison. They know who they are without requiring constant reassurance. They remain calm even when someone misinterprets their intentions. They clarify when necessary, but never beg to be understood. They focus on growth instead of protecting a fragile reputation. They refuse to waste energy correcting minor misunderstandings. They understand that perception is subjective and impossible to fully control. They stopped editing their personality for hypothetical audiences. They continue walking confidently even when whispers follow behind them. They recognize that true confidence is quiet, steady, and controlled. They stay emotionally balanced in socially uncomfortable moments. They trust their inner judgment more than outside commentary. They understand that trends fade quickly, but identity remains constant. They stopped comparing their timeline to someone else's visible achievements. They refuse to allow fear of judgment to design their future decisions. They believe authenticity naturally attracts the right connections over time. They no longer chase acceptance from spaces that don't align with them. They value internal peace more than public recognition. They choose silence over unnecessary self-defense. They allow misunderstandings without feeling personally threatened. They embrace being different without interpreting it as weakness. They live intentionally for alignment rather than applause. And that quiet independence becomes the foundation of their unshakable strength.